The work hard, play hard, which is a crock of shit, because you should work smart and play often. Like, to me, that's a way better thing.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. It's Torie Mathis, and I'm here with the one and only founder of Miles Through Time Automotive Museum, Sean Mathis.
It's all true.
It is all true.
It is known.
You know, a lot of the things that I noticed that we've been talking about recently has to do with the season of your life or the season of your business, because the decisions that you're going to make are going to revolve very much around where you're at, and if you have children, where your kids are at. Because I know that the decisions that I made for my business before I had kids are very different than after I have kids.
Yeah, just a little bit.
which is kind of a given. However, I really believe that you should always be family first and business second. It's kind of like the Stephen Covey big rocks, little rocks. Like, you've got to put the big rocks in, and the little rocks always fill in. Like, as long as you take care of what's important first, I really think all those details, they'll happen. But if you try to put all those little rocks in first, like, your big rocks are never going to fit in. If you always focus on business, or you make that your first priority, like, you're never going to have room to shove things in. It's like working out. I have to work out in the beginning of the day. Sean and I work out at the beginning of the day. We tried, when we moved to this area and joined our new gym, we tried to work out in the evening. And what ends up happening?
It doesn't get done.
It doesn't get done. Why? Because you're trying to shove that big rock in the end of your day.
It's already hard enough to try to finishing up the day, you know, and moving on from work. It's got its own set of challenges. Doing these episodes, I mean, it takes a bit of effort to actually be able to do all of these things and then still fit in everything else. But, you know, it's what's your priority, right?
And I think that you can't just assume, well, of course family's my priority, or of course my health is my priority. I think you really have to talk about them with either who you're working with or with your spouse, so that you guys are on the same page. And I think once you say things out loud, like, it really makes it real. Like, it's not assumed anymore. It makes it so that everybody knows exactly what's happening, and it can help to keep you accountable as well. I know that's why a lot of people like to post certain things on social media, because then it helps them, you know, to be accountable if that's what they want. But I think when you can discuss those things that are important, then you can make sure that those become a priority right away. And you know, we talk about non-negotiables all the time. I have a blog post that has been on my website for a really long time, and it gets the most traffic by far of any other blog post on there, and it is about non-negotiables. And I think that everybody needs to have these types of things in their life, and I think that there are things that need to be reviewed because seasons change. And just like you have these for your life, I think you need to have them for your business as well. And I think that one that we have done is about our family. And I know for me, I never ever thought that I would be like stay-at-home mom.
Why would you? I mean, it's hard to fathom that kind of thing.
Like, I have always been, I don't know, like, I always figured, yes, like, career and going after things, and, like, I don't know, like, never ever, like, my mom wasn't a stay-at-home mom. She always worked.
I think that's a misleading thing to say too, though, because you're not necessarily a stay-at-home mom. You're just not a mom that goes away to work.
Okay, that's true. Okay, so I probably should have said it that way. I never thought that I would be home with my kids all the time. And yes, me being home with my kids all the time, I worked the whole entire time. I ran my business with these children at my feet, on my lap, climbing all over my head, which means that in those seasons of my life, my business worked very different. And then I was able to make sure that I sculpted my business around the kids' sleep schedules. And then later, when the amazing thing happened that when they went to school is remember when Bella went to school, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never had this much time. I sculpted it around when they get home. Now, they don't really care as much when I get home, so I can work a little bit longer, but I don't work in the evenings anymore. because that is the time that I want to do things with the family instead.
Well, and that's just it. Like the kids, they grow up so fast. Our oldest still isn't 13. He will be in November. But just even these almost 13 years, they have absolutely flown by. So even though there was a period of time there where Torie wasn't able to work as much as she would have, possibly wanted to, that period of time was so small in the whole scheme of things. And then, naps started getting longer, and preschool starts happening, and then school starts happening. There's like the progression of just the evolution, I should say, of our kids is it changes so quickly to where now we're at like the kids get themselves ready in the morning pretty much, other than taking them to school, and then when they get home, they're entertaining themselves for a while until we finish up with work. That's been relatively recent that we get like a full-blown work day worth of work done without kids really interrupting it.
Well, I think your childhood was similar to mine, though, that like I tried to play sports. I never had a parent go to a sport game. Not that I did it that much. I did all through junior high. Nobody ever went to one of my games. I did some things when I was in high school. I did some competitions. I did some public speaking. No one ever came to anything. Why? Because everybody was working.
Right.
And so for me, I think that was so important from the beginning. Not that I thought that I would try to do it from home, because I never would have imagined that that's what I would have done. So happy that I did. And I think the relationship that I have with our kids is different because I wasn't this, corporate work, come home at 7:00 mom, that, we kind of grew up with. I think it makes it different. And so I wish that more people would realize that if they are entrepreneurs, because it is your own business, you can shape your schedule around your kids rather than the other way around.
Plus you're the boss, right? So who the hell cares if your kids wind up being on coming through on a conference call, or they can hear them in the background? In today's world, it's not unheard of. Embrace it. Yeah, I got kids. I also own this business. How can I help you?
Right.
You don't need to be embarrassed about it, because that's, I think, some of the some of the worry at the beginning of all this, a few years ago, where you're trying to hide the kids, kind of like the dogs, don't let the dogs bark. Heaven forbid they know I have dogs and I'm at home. Who cares?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where, even the museum, I'll go and as long as they want to, I don't want to force them, but I'll take the kids to the museum and they can hang out there all day. Who cares? I put both of them to work and installed the checkered flooring. When you go to the museum and you see the black and white checkered floor, I had what were they? 11 and 8 when they did that. It's awesome.
It bums me out though when I see,
and they're very proud of it.
Especially parents
There's
that
YouTube videos that shows them
have
putting it
this. I have to work as hard as I can right now so that I can retire and then enjoy my life.
Man, I hate that.
Man,
I got brothers like that. I got all kinds of family like that, really, and that's why I'm the black sheep on that, because I've never ever wanted to do that. Why would you wait so long to be able to have fun that you might not ever even get to enjoy? You don't have to have this crazy life and think you have to make a certain amount of money to be able to enjoy stuff. You can get away with having a good life and experience without having to be that millionaire or anything crazy. It's super within reach for people. It's a decision you have to make. Do I want to spend more time with kids and do things with them? Or do you want to put in the 10, 15, 20 extra hours a week to a job that replaces you when you die of a heart attack on the job and you get nothing, It's that kind of, and I saw it over and over when I worked at Pepsi. They would just burn people out completely. And the thing is they'd want more, so you'd do more. And once you did that, that's now your new base level. So they want you to do more and more and more. When you're in sales, anybody in sales knows you've got all these goals, right? And what happens when you hit the goals? Your goals are now higher and higher, which is great in theory, other than it burns you out. Like, you can only maintain that and do that for so long without just completely losing it. And the minute you do, you're done. You know, and all that time is wasted. Like, I honestly, I would rather, if I had to go get a job, I would rather just go get like a regular job and not worry about any of that other kind of stuff, and still be able to come home and enjoy my family as much as I do now. And that's only if I had to absolutely go get a job. Because my family means more to me than trying to move up into some sort of corporate ladder and make a bunch of money that I may or may not get to enjoy. Like, to me, it just makes no sense.
Well, and that's like you taking advantage of the opportunity for miles through time, though it wasn't probably the right time to do it, and though it's something that we could have done when we were older and had more money and had more, you know, whatever it is, like the opportunity arose. And so it's something that we went for. And I think that that's not just important for you, but I think that's important for the kids. It's important for like everything that we've done, that we're able to maybe turn down things that might have been more money, or might have been more clout, or might have been something. But then if you go back to, well, what's really important? Well, Sean working at something that's more of his passion, not working from some corporate, you know, job that doesn't give a shit about him, or being able to try to make something out of what your passion is. You know, that's what's important. You know, being able to be with our kids all the time while they're young, that's what's important. It's like when I got out of the Army, I ended up getting these 2 Jack Russells when I was a civilian working over there. And that was my priority, right? So that was what was important for me. So when I actually moved back to the States from Germany, I had these damn dogs with me. And so my whole life, and even ours, when, you know, I got together with Sean, I had the damn dogs. Like, that was a priority. So there are places when I moved back, I couldn't live. I couldn't go get apartments or whatever. Those Jack Russells would have tore that thing up. But that was like so important for me at the time that I had to shape my whole everything else around these dogs, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen people say like, well, get rid of the dogs. Like, people get rid of them. Like, no, like, that's my priority. And I'm going to shape everything else around what it is that's important to me, rather than bend on those types of things.
It doesn't always just come down to money, because if that's the only interest, like, you're almost guaranteed to be miserable. The money will come. Like, you can do things to make money and be successful and be as rich as possible, but you don't have to, you know, not do things that mean something to you, like the dogs, the kids.
Traveling.
I mean, if your whole passion in life is to be able to travel and experience things and do things, why on earth would you spend your life working at a job where you got 2 weeks vacation a year, and then you had no money to even go and actually do any of the things that you want to do? I got people in my family that's exactly how they live. Oh, I'd love to go do stuff, but they never do.
Never do.
You know, that's crazy.
It is. It makes me sad, because I think that anybody could follow their dreams. They could accomplish goals that they want. And I don't know if they realize they can. It's like, okay, if traveling is your thing and you want to do that, whatever your skill level is, whatever your living situation is, like, there's so many possibilities, like, for doing something online or doing something digitally or virtually, that if that was what you wanted to do, then you just need to say, like, that's what's important, so you can start to face that direction and start to work towards whatever that is. I think anybody could do that. Traveling, you could travel for cheap if that was what you wanted to do, or just like start off that way, that whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you think is important, like, you can totally shape your whole life. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how much money you have or your skill level. Like, I think that the possibilities out there are for everybody. And I hope that our kids realize that. That'd be really nice. Like, our kids, like, when I was in high school, it was all about like, you have to go to college no matter what. You don't go to college, you're going to be a loser. Like, was it for you?
I think that was our whole generation was fed that garbage.
Man, it really didn't matter.
No.
Like, I'm glad that like I tried to go to college. It was really difficult trying to work and go to college. I ended up joining the Army so that way I could get money for college. And freaking best thing ever. Not only did I get money for college, but I got to travel. I got to meet all kinds of people. I went around the world. Like,
you got a broken hip?
I did. I broke my hip. Like, come on now. Win, win, win. Got those damn Jack Russells.
Yeah.
But you know what? At that season, like, what was important to me was school, because crammed down my throat that I was going to be a loser if I didn't go to college. And so college was like super duper important. Second would have been travel, that I never thought that I'd be able to do. Like, I totally wanted to. I wanted to get out of the area that I was in. Like, you hear, like, even when you're young, like, you meet people that like, wow, you've been there and you've been, like, it was amazing to see that people were so traveled, and my family just wasn't. We did some trips. We did some camping and stuff like that, but like that wasn't what we did, but that didn't mean that that wasn't what I could do. Like, I had to decide that that's what was important for me, and you know, joining the Army is how I made it happen.
Yeah, I wish I would have had somebody to like guide me on that kind of stuff, because I love to travel as well and do all that kind of stuff, but we didn't do a whole lot of traveling growing up, and so those younger years of my adult life, I just spending money on cars, which is not anything I'm proud of, because I had nothing to show for it.
What would you have rather have been doing?
Traveling. Yeah, absolutely, because I was in the Air National Guard, so I mean, other than the 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year, you know, I made pretty damn good money for that age, that if I would have, you know, thought about it better, I could have been going on the cruises that we like so much now years ago. I just go by myself. I don't care. And I have the type of person, I totally would have went by myself on a cruise at 19, 20 years old. Absolutely, hands down. I didn't even think of it though. Not at all.
So when I was in the Army, a lot of the people in the military work very hard all week long, and then on the weekend they go and drink and party and do all kinds, you know what I mean? All kinds of crazy stuff. Like in tech school and stuff like that, is that what everybody did as well?
Oh yeah, and then I got the friend that gets the car crashed and totaled on the weekends, and all that fun is gone. So
I fell into that exact same thing. And that was what I did. And I think people do that in whatever it is, their life. They, you get into this rut because that's what you're supposed to do and that's what everybody is doing. And the whole reason that I left and joined the Army is because I didn't want to do the same shit all the time. Like, I wanted to go. So my first couple of years when I was in Europe, I didn't even travel that much. I worked and I partied on the weekends, and I worked and I partied on the weekends. And it got old after a year. I spent way too much money on nothing. Like, you spent money on cars that you don't even have anymore. And so I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I never went out and drank. I ended up getting a volunteer position because what was important to me? School and travel, right? So I had to readjust everything again because I fell into that rut. And I got a volunteer position where I became a tour guide for I don't even remember what the name of it is, the outdoor recreation people. That like people go on to tours all over the place. I ended up driving a 10-passenger van all over Europe and gave people tours to all these different places. I was like the tour guide that took people down to Oktoberfest, and like I had a bus driver there though, like a huge bus. Like, I was in charge of making sure everybody got there and got back and everything. And you know what everybody that I hung out with said about me? It wasn't very nice. But I had to break out of that rut and figure out what was important for me in that season. And I can tell you that working hard all week and partying on the weekends was not.
Well, see, that's a terrible. It's a terrible way to live, and it's very common. And everybody wants to say the work hard, play hard, which is a crock of shit. Because you should work smart and play often. Like, to me, that's a way better thing. Like, why would I work that hard to then play that hard and be miserable about going back to work and working hard? I'm just going to work smarter, which means less, and play more often.
Yes.
And not hard. Just play, man. Just have a good time.
Yes. That last probably year and a half though, and this was after September, like before September 11th, like there was so much freedom to travel, and I did a couple of trips. And then after September 11th, the last year or two that I was over there, things were much more buckled down. It was much harder to travel, and so I kind of freaking blew it. Like I never made it to Italy. There's so many places that I didn't even get to go because I fell into the damn rut. And so I think every once in a while we got to shake ourselves out of the rut and be like, okay, are we doing what's important? Are we doing what really is, the non-negotiable thing? Are we spending enough time with our kids right now, or are we falling into the work rut? Are we watching too much freaking Netflix? Because I know that there's a lot of people that I see, people go through some series. They go through some shows. Like that's a lot of time being spent on a couch watching TV shows.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of shows to watch.
No, but I can see that like that is the rut that just like people get sucked in and feel like, oh well, I got to get off work and watch Netflix. Like that isn't what you have to do when you get off work.
And the thing is that probably is what makes you feel like crap, right? Then puts you in it's the Mondays, and all that garbage where you start eliminating that kind of stuff and watch the Monday woes go away. No matter what it is that you do for a living, whether it's working for yourself or working at a company, like it shouldn't be miserable for you. And really, the biggest thing to do is just to check yourself and determine, like, am I doing what I want to be doing right now? And if not, fix it. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to just continue week and month and year after year just being miserable.
I think it's hard, though, that you're like, people think that that's how they should be. Like, I don't think some people realize that they're miserable. Like, all these people that we talk about that want to travel, like, why aren't you traveling? I don't have time. I don't have money.
Well, see, and that's it. Like, you get stuck in the miserable word, and that probably isn't what it is. It's, are you able to do what you want to do? And if you can't,
what can you do to get yourself in that direction? Because it's totally doable. And things do take time. Everybody only has, the same amount of time. But if you say that you don't have time for something, then you're just not using your time wisely. You're just not using it in the smartest way. Because you can always rearrange things. There are some people that do amazing things and they have the same amount of time as we do. They're just using the time a little bit different. So you can never use time as an excuse. And then for money, you can, like, if travel was your thing, like, figure out how to travel cheaper. Like, a little bit of research and a little bit of planning, maybe grouping up with some other people, like, you can travel cheap. And travel doesn't mean you have to go to Japan. Like, I'm sure that there's things in your area that you haven't seen. That's traveling too, just getting out of that bubble. So trying to figure out what these things are that you really want and figuring out how to go for those. And I think just by speaking about it, just by saying it weekly, saying it daily, talking about your spouse with it, I think just putting it out there makes shit happen. I don't know how it works, but it does.
We're a testament to that for sure, multiple times over. It's just talking out loud about what it is that we want to do usually makes it happen.
We get a yellow car. We have a yellow car. And after we never saw yellow cars before that. But after you get that, like, all of a sudden you see yellow cars everywhere, right? It's a reticular activator, right? So once you activate that thing in your mind, and I'm not talking like secret bullshit, like think it and millions of dollars are going to rain on you.
No, you got to do
it's
something.
Not that, no. But by speaking it out loud and by actually saying these things and figuring it out yourself and then getting somebody on board with it, like, that's how fucking magic happens.
You got to keep it top of mind. I mean, to say something and then forget about it pretty much sweeps it under the door and it never happens. But if you keep saying it over, like, for example, I'll take a picture of a car on Facebook and I'll post it on there and I'll be like, this is just for me. I'm letting you know that I'm going to get this car in 2 years. And then I go back through my memories and I see it. You know, and the thing is it's not necessarily the exact same one because things will change, and I'm not like tied down to that specifically. But the thing is I've got multiple instances where I really did go back and get that car. You know, 2 years before we got the yellow car, I went and shared something and shared it to Torie. I'm like, these cars are awesome, but what it was I wanted the next body style, and we weren't quite there yet, so we wound up getting another car, but then 2 years rolled through, and we wound up getting the exact car that I wanted.
Which one is that?
The Porsche, the yellow Cayenne.
Wasn't there something with we had a little Mercedes that you got? Well, wasn't there something with that one too? Or you went
I got that one. So I test drove the Cayennes. I drove a Cayenne S and then a GTS, but they were the original body style, and so they were cool and I liked them, but the interiors were too dated for me, and so I wound up coming home with this little Mercedes coupe, which was completely different, but like I wanted the SUV. It's just that the next body style was outside of the current price range, so it took a little while, but I mean, I documented it on my personal social media profile specifically because, you know, beyond the business aspect of social, like I like seeing my Facebook memories. Like, you know, you take photos and you print them out, and you never go through the photo book really, right? Unless, you know, some family member comes over and they want to reminisce or something. Well, the same thing happens with all your digital photos. You never see them again. They're there. But the greatest thing is these Facebook memories, and Google does it now. I want to be shown my own photos again after it's been a year or two or more, because like that's awesome. It's a memory, and it's putting it back into my vision, and like that's the greatest thing for me. So I'll personally do it. I did it for, you know, my bench max. Nobody cares what my bench max is. But I want to know, you know, when it pops up next year that I was so proud of. I think it was like 205 when I did it. I'm already at 215. So when it comes through a full year and I'm like, oh, I remember that, you know, another year's worth of work. And now look at me, you know, 650 pounds I can bench. Okay,
You're so strong. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Yeah, I can't.
You're so strong, Sean Mathis.
I'd look weird if I could bench that much.
I think part of the problem too is that people don't know how to get there, and so they worry so much about the details that they're just like, can't do it. Woe is me.
All the shit is difficult when you don't know.
Well, and you never have to know how to go there. Just face in that direction and take one step. And then tomorrow, make sure you're still faced in that direction and take one step. Like, eventually, you're going to get there. You don't have to know the entire path at all.
Don't worry about how long it takes. Just keep moving.
And you don't have to worry about every single detail either. But it's knowing, like, this is the direction I want to go. This is what's important. I want to spend as much time as with my family. I want to travel. I want to have my own business. I want to create an automotive museum. Do you think Sean knew how to create a museum? No. Do you think Sean has some handbook that he pulls out and like, check that one off? No,
Man, that'd be nice.
He has no idea what he's doing. And he's one step at a time and learning one by one and getting closer and doing more and facing the right direction. But he didn't have like a plan on how to do it. And just like when I joined the Army, I didn't have a plan either at that time. I just knew, okay, school and travel. And you know what? That shit didn't work out. Not like I thought. But then later, like, I did get school. And I got it for free. I got a 4-year fantastic education, completely paid for. And I got to, you know, go all kinds of places. And not just in the Army. You know, now. Not right now. Because we can't go anywhere. But... But in the last few years, we've had some really great opportunities that we got to travel.
For sure.
We take them. We take them when we can. And some times that the kids got to travel, like, hopefully they, you know, understand that they can do these things too. So whatever it is that is important to you, whether it's family or being healthy or traveling, like you don't have to figure all of it out, but you have to face the direction that you want to go. And I really think speaking about these things and talking about them, and I mean, even if you just talk out loud to yourself in the car, talk to the dog, but talking about it and saying things out loud and keeping it top of mind, man, you can do anything. You can make your work go around, whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah.
For sure.
So if you like this episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review and if you would share this with anybody that you think would think this is interesting. And we'll see you on the next one. Show's on Tuesday, Thursday. If you want to get smart tools to build your business, go to besmartaf.com.